This video will cover child support calculation and modification. Are you concerned that you're going to be ordered to pay child support? Concerned about how much child support you will have to pay? Or have you been ordered to pay child support and you recently lost your job or you're earning less? What about this? Are you receiving child support and believe it needs to be increased? Maryland has done its best to systemize how child support is calculated so that expensive fights can be avoided and people can predict what the child support obligation will be. Let's take a look at how the child support obligation is determined and then how and when the obligation can be modified. Essentially, child support is a financial obligation against a parent for the support of a parent's child or children. Child support is not a choice. It is an obligation that is imposed by the state. Child support is imposed anytime the state makes an award of custody. This means that a parent does not have the right to waive or reduce another parent's child support obligation. Child support is considered the right of the child. The amount of child support will only be modified from the calculated obligation if the court specifically finds that a deviation from the guideline is in the best interest of the child. Child support is calculated by applying a formula that utilizes the following factors. Firstly, the adjusted gross income earned by each parent. Adjusted gross income is a parent's gross income adjusted for existing child support obligations and alimony paid or received. The number of overnights the child spends with each parent is also utilized. The court only cares where the child sleeps at night. So, even if a child is with a parent after school until bedtime every night, and that parent provides dinner, the child support calculation is not affected unless a parent can successfully argue to the court that the deviation is in the best interest of the child. In this example, the court would likely allow for a downward deviation. Another factor is the cost of childcare. If one parent pays the childcare provider, that parent is credited with that payment, and the support obligation is then adjusted accordingly. The cost of health insurance is also a factor. Very often, this cost is paid through a deduction from a parent's wages. The deduction usually includes the cost of a parent's insurance as well as the child's insurance. The cost of the parent-only coverage is deducted from the total amount paid to determine the cost of health insurance for the child. And lastly, other agreed-upon expenses like private school tuition are factored in. The amount of child support calculated pursuant to the formula is the amount of the child support obligation that will be imposed by the state. In Maryland, we use the Maryland State Child Support Guidelines. A deviation from this amount is only permitted if an exceptional circumstance exists. The parent asking for the deviation must prove to the court that exceptional circumstances do exist and that it is in the best interest of the child to deviate from that guideline amount. If you would like to anticipate how much support you will pay or receive, there are Maryland Child Support Guideline calculators available online. As a general rule, the parent who has the children for a less amount of time is the parent who pays child support to the other. If the children are shared equally by the parents, meaning the children spend the same number of overnights at each parent's home, then the parent who earns more income is likely to owe the other parent a support obligation. Now let's discuss child support modification. Once child support is ordered by the court, that child support obligation remains the same unless and until the court modifies the amount of the obligation or the child emancipates. Even if the parties agree to change the amount of child support, the parents' agreement will not affect the court-ordered child support obligation. The child support obligation will legally continue to accrue even if the parents agreed to terminate child support. If a child support obligation should be modified, the parties must go to the court to have the amount of support modified. Child support can be modified if there has been a significant change to one of the factors considered when calculating the support obligation. By way of example, if a child no longer needs childcare, then that expense would be removed from the calculation and the child support obligation would be adjusted accordingly. Similarly, if one of the parents gets a large raise or a promotion, then child support may be modified as well. Child support does not adjust by itself upon the emancipation of a child, so it's very important to apply to the court for a modification at least 90 days before the child emancipates.